Obviously, we love wrestling, but truth be told, we also love game shows. From Come On Down to I'd Like to Buy a Valpat to This is Jeopardy! We can't get enough of them. And when our favorite wrestling superstars make a guest appearance, well, sign us up. But sometimes the skills that are so magnificent in the ring don't quite transfer over to a quiz show. I'm Senior Siete for 7 Wrestling, and let's take a look at 7 WWE superstars who embarrass themselves on game shows. Now, before we get into this, we appreciate your support, so if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and RKO that notification bell. Also, Gordon Holmes, the guy who does all of my Senior Siete drawings, has released a graphic novel about professional wrestling. It's called The Bad Guy, and it's from Legacy Comics. It's a heartwarming tale of wrestling and marriage. We'd love for you to support him. He's done so much for us. You'll find a link to purchase this graphic novel in the description. Number 1. Becky Lynch. Now, let's get a few things out here quickly. Jeopardy is no joke. It's one of the most difficult quiz shows on TV. But, Celebrity Jeopardy? Some of the questions on that show are such softballs that Will Ferrell made a career out of parroting it. I'll take anal bum cover for 7,000, Alex. So in the fall of 2023, when the man Becky Lynch squared off against SNL alum Rachel Dratch and former Wet Bandits assaulter Macaulay Culkin, we didn't have a reason to think she wouldn't perform admirably. But it did not go well, as in, she didn't get a correct answer in the first 2 rounds. And if this had been a regular 2-round Jeopardy instead of the celebrity 3-round Jeopardy, she wouldn't have gotten a single thing right. Big Time Bex headed into Final Jeopardy with a small-time $500, while her competitors were both well into the 5 digits. She'd blamed the buzzer for her poor performance, but I'm more likely to blame that punch from Nia Jax. And to her credit, she was able to get the Final Jeopardy answer correct. Also to her credit, she seems to have a great sense of humor about it. Number 2. The Stars of WCW. I have to confess, telling the story is why this video exists. I love it so much. In the early 90s, the Stars of WCW squared off against the gorgeous ladies of wrestling in a game of Family Feud. The man called Sting would lead the WCW team, which featured Flying Brian Pillman, the Z-Man Tom Zenk, Candyman Brad Armstrong, and announcer Jim Ross. On the Glow side, we have Hollywood, Mount Fiji, Godiva, Justice, and Jackie Stallone. We'd start things off by the Stinger squaring off against Hollywood, and hello, Hollywood. That big 80s, 90s hair still kind of does it for me. The question would be, name a magazine where people often just look at the pictures. Quick on the draw, Hollywood would buzz in first. She would incorrectly guess Star. Then Sting, hero to millions of children worldwide, would guess the men's magazine Playboy. And he would be correct. Number 1 answer. Sensing a theme, the Z-Man would guess the men's magazine, known as Penthouse. But that wasn't on the board, and the Z-Man was shocked. Brian Pillman and Brad Armstrong would refrain from naming any more nudie magazines, but their guesses of Car and Driver and a sales catalog were both incorrect, which is a shame because I feel like a half an hour of pro wrestlers just naming their favorite adult magazines would be pretty entertaining. The Glow women would have their chance to steal, and Jackie Stallone would get in the quote of the night saying, "Well, it has to be Hustler." Well, it wasn't. Despite Sting screaming, "Hustler!" from across the studio, Hollywood would pick Life magazine and steal the board. And all the little stingers learned a thing or two that day about the publishing industry. Number 3. Booker T. In a lot of these examples, the host of the game show may have a little bit of fun at the player's expense, but more often than not, they're just there to ask questions and make sure everyone is having a good time. That is not the case with The Weakest Link. Ann Robinson would make it a sport tearing apart contestants when they gave a bad answer. So, when the Stars of WWE paid the show a visit during the fall of 2001, Ann had a plethora of things to poke fun at. First and foremost was Booker T. Now, when asked what Flo's catchphrase was on the 70s TV sitcom Aldis, Booker T can be forgiven for thinking it was "kiss my butt." However, when Booker T was asked which October holiday celebrates the discovery of America, the five-time WCW champion answered, Thanksgiving. Yikes. Now, the way this game works is each round a player is voted off, usually for their poor performance, and despite Booker T being statistically the lowest competitor, the Big Show is voted out. Well, Triple H voted for Booker T, and this is long before their controversial WrestleMania 19 feud. Maybe this was the start of Hunter's disdain for Booker. Robinson would call out Booker T for not wearing a shirt that showed off his muscles because he certainly wasn't showing off his brain power. She then asked how his October Thanksgiving was. Ouch. In the next round, Booker T would say that he thought the French word that means again that is shouted at the end of a concert was oui oui. No. But he'd redeem himself by knowing that a cobra is in fact a snake. Trish Stratus would try to bail him out by saying that the capital of Japan was Hong Kong, but it was too late. Anne would send Booker packing by saying, "You are the weakest link, au revoir." Tell me she didn't just say that. Number 4, The Miz. Say what you will about Mike the Miz Mizanin, he is not the flashiest in-ring competitor. He doesn't have the most intimidating presence you're ever going to see. His Bounce House WrestleMania ring entrance is maybe the worst fancy entrance of all time, but the guy was born to perform. Whether it's in the ring, a morning show, or late night TV, The Miz will give it his all to be entertaining. However, this begs the question, is he smarter than a 5th grader? Lucky for us, there was a game show that answered that exact question. On a 2009 episode of Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader, the must-see superstar was a ball of energy and was downright hilarious with his little classmates. However, when it came to basic knowledge like how many fluid ounces are in a cup, or what does the federal agency BLM stand for, he didn't do so hot. Although, in The Miz's defense, he did know that the integer with the highest value is -1. Honestly, The Miz did alright, but when he was given a chance to wager his winnings on a 5th grade question about geography for $200,000, he did the classic heel move and backed off. And in doing so, he had to look into the camera and say he was a Slammy Award winner and a tag team champion, but he is not smarter than a 5th grader. It was fun. Miz is a great representative for the company, and we did get to learn this fun fact about The Miz. Apparently, he learned the violin in the 3rd grade to impress a girl. And seeing as how things worked out for him, we're willing to take any girl advice The Miz is willing to dish out. Number 5, Nick Aldis. Okay, this one doesn't really count. I just wanted to call out that SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis was on the British version of American Gladiators. Over there, it's just known as Gladiators. His name was Oblivion, and he was a bit of a bad boy. This bloke was taking the piss out of a bunch of wankers. That was awful. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Number 5.5, CM Punk. When a team of highly trained professional sports entertainers square off in a physical competition against a group of people from a website called Nerdist, you expect the wrestlers to be able to handle their business. That was not the case during a 2013 episode of All-Star Celebrity Bowling. And before you say bowling isn't a physical competition, well, you might have me there. At any rate, it was Charles Montgomery Punk, his future bride AJ Lee, his former tag team partner Kofi Kingston, and Fandango, for some reason, facing off against Chris Hardwick and his merry band of nerds, and it looked like a blowout early, with Hardwick being the only member of his team doing any damage and Ron Funches bowling gutter ball after gutter ball after gutter ball. But Team Nerdist was able to figure out CM Punk's kryptonite, ignoring him. Punk would throw a gutter ball and we'd get one of my personal favorite wrestling memes of all time. At any rate, between that and distracting Kofi with some delicious nachos, and CM Punk and AJ Lee showing off some of the weirdest foreplay I've ever seen, the Nerdist boys were able to scratch out a victory. Not talking about Punk takes away his power. Too bad the Young Bucks and Jack Perry never figured that out. Number 6, Rey Mysterio. It was a rematch of the finals of the 2011 World Title Tournament when Team Miz squared off against Team Mysterio in a game of Family Feud. By Rey's side was his lovely daughter Aaliyah and his tag team partner and son Dominic. Happier times. And Team Mysterio would go on to defeat Team Miz to move on to the final Fast Money round, but not before the Miz's mother-in-law would get in the answer of the night. When Steve Harvey would ask the question, Captain Hook had to go to the hospital after using the wrong hand to scratch his what, Margot would say his crotch. And when asked for clarification, she'd step away from her podium, point at her groin, and say his penis. But hey, in her defense, it was the number one answer, and also, she did create Maurice, so she can honestly do nothing wrong. Anyhow, with the very first question in the Fast Money round, Rey was asked which of Superman's powers would come in the most handy. Did he choose the power of flight? Heat ray vision? Super strength? No. The master of the 619 said the power he'd most want is protect my daughter. And honestly, after he said that, he probably wanted Superman's ability to reverse time by flying around the world super fast. Steve Harvey understandably gave him some grief, but shockingly, this stupid answer was worth 15 points. Maybe the producers were being generous. I guess technically, any one of Superman's powers could be used to protect a daughter, although it's odd he isn't interested in protecting his son. Maybe that's how this all started. Oh, and speaking of fast money, number 7, Snoop Dogg. I know what you're thinking. Snoop Dogg? You're stretching there, Senior Siete. And yeah, that might be true, but the guy beat a former WWE champion at WrestleMania, so it counts. Man, The Miz is all over this list. Alright, once again, fast money would be the downfall for a beloved sports entertainment superstar. The board had been set beautifully for the Dog father, with his cousin Robin bringing in 141 of the necessary 200 points. Snoop got off to a pretty good start until he was presented with the question, complete this phrase, pie in the blank. Now Robin said sky, pie in the sky. Great answer. Another good answer we think would have been face, pie in the face, but old Snoop D-O-double-G said horse. Pie in the horse. Now, as you'd imagine, Steve Harvey had a blast with this, and poor Snoop just had to stand there and take it. And unlike Mysterio, there was no massaging this answer. Snoop got a big ol' 0, but all's well that ends well, as Snoop was able to pick up the win for his team. It wasn't a certain win, though. Honestly, you should never look a gift pie in the horse. Well, there's our list. Did we forget any other WWE superstars who absolutely sucked at game shows? If so, please leave them in the comments section below. Also, if you enjoyed this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and F5 that notification bell. Check out the description for a link to Gordon Holmes' graphic novel, The Bad Guy. Until next time, I'm Senior Siete for 7 Wrestling saying bye-bye.